All right, how's it going, everybody? Welcome to this week's Stock Market Outlook video brought to you by both DeepView and the Trade Lab. Today, we're going to dive into the market indexes, leading stocks, and key events that happened last week. There's a lot to talk about. The ongoing short-term pullback in the market. We'll discuss kind of what to expect next and what would be constructive, what would be not constructive. But before we get into that, I'm getting close to 90,000 subscribers on YouTube, which is amazing. And I plan to do a pretty big giveaway once I hit that milestone. So if you want to help me out in reaching that level, go ahead and click the subscribe button down below. It's completely free, and you'll get access to weekly videos just like this one, analyzing the market, giving my take, and also discussing potential opportunities for the next week. So again, go ahead and subscribe, hit the like button as well. And with that said, let's go ahead and dive right in. First, looking at the QQQ, we were extended going into this week. This is pretty obvious. We didn't know when the pullback was going to happen, but we were expecting it. We were ready for it. And sure enough, we started to pull back on the 23rd, broke below the 10 EMA, but had a nice demand bar upside reversal here off the 21 EMA general area, reclaiming that 10 EMA, and then nice action also to end the week on Friday. So far, nothing to freak out about whatsoever. Just a pullback within a trend. We're above a rising 21 EMA. Again, if I only had one moving average that I want to use, I would go ahead and use this 21 EMA. If we're above a rising 21 EMA, by default, we are in an uptrend. It's okay to look for swing trades. It's okay to look for position trades. Ideally, you're entering at a point where we've been in a consolidation and are reclaiming that level and are entering in this general area. That's often where the best opportunities, especially for position trading, are. But if we're above this rising moving average, no need to overthink things. No need to predict the next market crash. Just take it as it comes and look for opportunities either on breakouts or pullbacks. Again, just using the 21 EMA on your chart, you'll be very surprised about how well that aligns you with the market cycle. And it's just an amazing moving average. So definitely use this. Obviously, we did have a pullback, and we had some pretty significant pullbacks in leading names. And we'll go through, Reddit, A-Lab, Palantir, a bunch of them in just a minute. But right now, we're just looking at the indexes. So that's the QQQ pulling back to the moving averages. And let me just turn these back on here. And let's take a look at the IWM. This had been leading the QQQ. It looks a little bit weaker in the short term to me. We had this downside reversal on the 23rd, fall through to the downside, gap down. I don't like the look of this gap down, although we did close the gap here on this Friday. But in the short term, QQQ actually looks a little bit healthier. If we just flip back and forth between those two, you can kind of get that sense just by your eye. But we'll see what happens here. This has been acting really nicely since late August here, and actually led the QQQ out. You can see if we're looking at the August 22 bar right here, this is just still in its consolidation. And if we go back to IWM, this is breaking out on the 22nd and even really make its real move here on the 12th. Looking at IBIT, this, of course, Bitcoin proxy. This, to me, is more of a risk appetite. And it's interesting. This is breaking down and looking a lot more negative than the market itself. What that means, we'll have to see. But we've got gap downs. We had a short-term rally back into the 21 EMA, reconfirmation to the downside. And we're definitely, in a downtrend at this point, below the moving averages, but potentially lining up to, this key level here, which lines up to this previous all-time high, and also running into this level as well where we saw this turnaround. So we'll see if we can push higher from this point. And this low to me is pretty key. If we really leak below that level and start getting down in this area, that would just signal more downtrend. But if we have an upside reversal or just kind of continue to form out this range and pop higher, never really violating this low too much on a closing basis, that's key. On a closing basis, that would be a sign to look for that short-term turn back to the upside. And if we do that, what I'd be watching for is resistance at the 21 EMA. Those would be continuing down, and then a consolidation, and then reconfirmation to the upside if we start a new upcycle in the IBIT. So that's kind of what I'm looking for with IBIT. Short term, in a downtrend, you've got these gaps. It's very negative, but potentially stretch the downside and coming into key levels. Whenever we're stretching the downside and coming into key levels, that's a point to be looking for a reversal and a start of a new uptrend. I don't typically like to buy near the lows of a cycle. I like a little bit more confirmation on strength after we've rallied up into the moving averages, consolidated, and then popped higher. That's kind of my sweet spot to get in. There's less volatility in that area. It's easier to manage risk and set tight and logical stops. But I know there's many successful traders who like to trade off these levels and look for catching that true turn off the lows. That's not my game, but everybody should do what they find effective, and also just what makes sense to them in terms of trading. So again, that's the indexes, and just going back to the QQQ, bring that up. We're above a rising 21 EMA, just had a short-term pullback and reclaimed the 10 EMA. That's kind of the overall context. Moving on to some mega caps, Tesla acting great. I mean, this is just a picture-perfect chart. We've got a large base, potentially starting a new stage 2 uptrend here, breakout, follow through, and now holding the 10 EMA. You can see these are maybe a negative expectation breaker, but holds a 10 EMA, actionable off that area, and strong close to end the week, and looks primed for higher prices, looks to test these highs here. And if the market really goes, I think this is going to continue to lead, and this is kind of the leader of this time in the market. Microsoft potentially forming out a base low here. You've got kind of this level to the downside. We're in this moving average cluster, and we'll see if this is a key swing low here, and if we can push higher and actually start move up the right hand side of the base. It's amazing that the QQQ kind of looks like this when some of the mega caps are still consolidating. So we'll see if they can kick into gear, how that would affect the overall market as well. Amazon, probably the weakest of the bunch, breaking below the moving averages, and just overall forming out this base here. It's about 10% deep to the deepest point. We're about getting to that level here and getting close to that 200-day moving average. So watching for a turn here, but we'll see again if this kicks into gear. That could be really beneficial for the market as well. Google just trending nicely, had that short-term pullback, a little bit of a fade here on Friday, so watching maybe for some short-term weakness and for this consolidation to build out a little bit. NVDA, interesting for next week for sure, and I'll talk about this tomorrow in my weekly watch list video, but this is the kind of the mega cap I'm most focused on for an entry here. We had the OpenAI news here, which led to an amazing rally in a very short amount of time, but we gave all that back pretty much the next few days. But we had an upside reversal, reclaim of this range, inside day to end the day Friday, and watching for a push higher and base breakout. So again, if this can get involved and really trend like it can, this would be awesome and a great trade opportunity both for swing and position traders. Moving on, we've got Apple forming out a short-term flag, just trending, nothing much to say here. And Meta, along with Amazon, more on the weaker side, below the moving averages, and just building out this consolidation overall. It looked to be building up the right-hand side, but had a big downside reversal, a little bit of a fade downside reversal here as well, and fall through to the downside below the moving averages. So we'll see how this builds out. And again, this is kind of the base low here, this area around 720 to 733, and we'll see if we can hold that level and start to move and form a new push up the right-hand side. So that is pretty much it for the market indexes and some mega caps. And let's run through some key names from last week and also take a look at some more leaders. So let's first bring up Palantir. This also is interesting for next week along with NVIDIA, and really I draw the pivot right on this inside day high, but this is kind of the overall range pivot, and watching for a push off the 10 EMA here. But this has been a leader for quite some time. It needed to work this out, work out the supply here. We've started to move up the right hand side. We're pulling back into the moving averages and really drifted sideways while the market had a little bit more firm of a pullback. So showing some relative strength here, and watching again, as I mentioned, a push off the 10 EMA here and a push higher, but looks constructive. If we lose these lows, I would expect a test of below the 21 EMA and maybe these range pivots, and maybe we get an upside reversal action, then that gets going. But watching overall for a push from this handle and eventually a breakout into all-time highs. A-Lab, let's bring that up. This one had a pretty sharp pullback last week, and really the warning sign was this day right here, tight day that resolves to the downside. And then we were unable to reconfirm higher, fall through higher from this upside reversal. We started to leak lower below the 10 EMA. We had a big gap down 10% on this day. It doesn't look like too much on the chart, but a significant gap down here below the 21 EMA. And now we're testing this prior base pivot. So we'll see if we can make a stand here and push higher and reclaim that 21 EMA. But you've got this unfilled gap above that could be resistance. If we push higher, watch out for that. But we'll see what happens with this name. I think this is definitely a name to keep on your watch list. Keep focusing on it, whether you're trying to play this turn or just later on in the cycle where you like to find your spots. But definitely a name to have on your radar. Great earnings growth story related data centers, AI, all the leading themes in the market. Bringing up Reddit. This actually has a little bit of a similar look, pulling into a prior key pivot. And overall, it's pulling into this prior all-time high, push higher on Thursday and Friday this week, and watching for a pop through that 21 EMA. And we'll see if this can make a stand. Again, overall, this is kind of a longer handle, mini base right at this previous all-time high level. So looks constructive. And again, like A-Lab, newer merchandise that is growing incredibly fast, earnings surprise of 149% last quarter. Definitely a name to have on your radar. Great estimates going forward as well. Fund ownership increase. It's great to see this in deep view here. And again, watching short term for a pop back through that 21 EMA, managing risk, maybe at this low or the low of that actual move higher. But we'll see what happens with this name. All right, let's go through some of the big movers from last week. And let's sort by percent change last day. BKKT, very fast mover, so not necessarily suited for everybody, but very strong move up and starting to form a consolidation in the very short term, watching this pivot to the upside if we can follow through. But I'd love to see it form out and tighten a little bit more below this level and then pop through. That would be very constructive. Intel, it's funny that this name is finally moving, but we have this gap up and then U-turn actionable on the 24th and really nice follow through into the end of the week. And it's pretty funny to see Intel moving 16% with a nice swing trade set up here on the post gap range breakout here. That's this type of setup where you have the gap up, consolidation, clear pivot forms, and then breakout through that. That's what you're looking for with Intel. Growl, excuse me, guys. This one is moving up the right hand side. Actionable here on this day right here. You had a very tight day the day before. This is what I call a priming day, where you get tight closes, tight action, and from contraction, from tightness comes expansion. And we got that very strong action, and then oops reversal here to end out the week, closing strong right near new recent highs. So really nice action from Growl. Let's see how many others I wanted to go through here today. Let's see. I think NBIS is worth covering. Actionable on this day, again from a tight day, tight open to close after the move up right near this HVC pivot. This was the day to act, and now is doing nothing wrong, trending above the 10 EMA. If you've got a recent range breakout, recent breakout in general that's holding the 10 EMA, it's acting healthy, it's acting fine. Let it work and see what happens. We never know how a trade's going to go, but just let it do its thing. Let the asymmetry of the market do its magic. Cap your downside, cap that very closely. But once you're out of profit, try to let a stock do what it's going to do, especially in a strong market where we're trending above those moving averages. Let's see if there's any other names I wanted to cover here. I think that's pretty much it. But if you want my take on any stock right now, let me know in the comment section, and I'll go over those names in the next video tomorrow, the weekly watch list video. So comment down below maybe your top 3 ideas for the upcoming trading week, and also your thoughts on the market. I'd love to hear what you think about what's going on. What's your take on the market health? What names are you watching closely? Let me know down below in the comment section. And just a quick reminder again to subscribe if you haven't already. I've got a great giveaway coming out at 90K subscribers, and just a great batch of videos upcoming as well. Planning to do a bunch of more free webinars coming up, so stay tuned for that. And with that said, thanks again for tuning in. Thanks for watching until the end. I appreciate you immensely, and hope you guys have a great rest of your weekend, and I'll see you guys in future videos. Take care.